No matter how good some players are, if they're in a situation in which their talents aren't used to the fullest or in which there's no chemistry with his teammates or coach, the team won't be able to succeed when it matters the most. When this happens, the blame usually falls on these players as the media tends to create a narrative that regards them as disruptive or uncoachable, and not so long ago, these were the exact kind of things that were being said about star guard Jimmy Butler. But now, as he's putting together consecutive clutch performances with his new team as they try to make a deep playoff run, it's fair to question where these stories came from and how it is that such an impactful player was once seen as a locker room cancer. Welcome to Courtside. Today we'll take a look at the career of Jimmy Butler and how he went from being seen as a bad teammate to becoming the centerpiece of a championship contender. Long before he was known as Jimmy Buckets and all the stories of him being a difficult player to deal with took place, Butler could barely make it into the rotation of the team that drafted him in 2011. His backstory is one of the humblest among NBA players and, as was once said by a general manager before the 2011 draft, is a remarkable one. A native of Houston, Texas, Jimmy grew up without his father and became homeless by age 13 as his mother kicked him out of their home before going on to live with the family of one of his school's friends. But that didn't stop him from playing the game he loved, as he was part of the Tomball High School team where he averaged 19.9 points and 8.7 rebounds per game during his senior year. He attended the Tyler Junior College during his freshman year before receiving an athletic scholarship from Marquette and earned all Big East honorable mention during his last two college seasons. After graduating, Butler was selected with the 30th pick by the Chicago Bulls, but his playing time was sparse during his rookie season as the team was considered a contender at the time and was coming off Derrick Rose's MVP season and a conference finals appearance. Despite averaging only 8.5 minutes throughout his first year, he became an important part of the Bulls' rotation in the following year and started in all 12 of the team's playoff games. By his third season, he became Chicago's full-time starting shooting guard and developed a reputation as a defensive player on his way to a selection on the all-defensive second team, while also leading the league in minutes averaged. The following year would see his emergence as a two-way star as, despite him playing alongside Paul Gasol, Joakim Noah, and a recovering Rose, Butler's scoring average rose to 20 points per game, and he was selected to play in the All-Star game. He helped the Bulls finish with a 50-32 record and received the Most Improved Player of the Year award at the end of the season. During the playoffs, Chicago proved to be the only worthy opponent of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. However, they ended up losing the series in 6 games. By his efforts, he was rewarded with a maximum contract by the team, but he would be unable to help them regain their contender status on the following seasons. After their defeat at the hands of the Cavs, the Bulls fired head coach Tom Thibodeau and replaced him with Fred Hoiberg in an attempt to change their approach, but would see a major regress as they would miss the postseason for the first time in 8 years. Following a series of roster moves during the offseason, the Bulls paired Jimmy with Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo, but he and Wade often collided with Rondo, Hoiberg, and the team's younger players, leading to a mediocre season. When the playoffs arrived, Chicago was eliminated in the first round and the team determined that it didn't want Butler to be their franchise player going forward, thus deciding to go into a rebuild and trading him to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Reunited with Thibodeau and paired with former first overall selections Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy continued playing at an all-star level and helped the Wolves make a playoff appearance for the first time in 13 years. However, following a first-round exit, he requested a trade as he felt that the team and the players weren't committed to winning. This led to a now infamous moment in which it was reported that Butler verbally lashed its coach and management personnel during practice. Shortly after the season began, he got his wish granted and was sent to the Philadelphia 76ers to join young stars Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. The situation with the Sixers was better than with the Wolves, but Butler also felt that the organization wasn't focused on winning. And during the season, it was reported that he had some verbal exchanges with Coach Brett Brown. Still, when the playoffs started, he had the ball in his hands more often and was the team's closer. The Sixers were considered a contender in the East, but they were defeated in the second round by the Toronto Raptors on a buzzer beater during Game 7 of the series. He would later talk about how, despite truly enjoying playing with Simmons and Embiid, he was often surprised by what he described as the Sixers' lack of leadership as an organization and the fact that he felt the team was very unproductive under Coach Brown. This, along with previous comments from Wade on how he would make a great fit with the Heat's culture, led Jimmy to take his talents to Miami via a sign and trade. Following a year in which the team missed the playoffs and lost Wade to retirement, the acquisition of Butler was seen as a move towards returning to the postseason and preparing the team to become contenders in the future. However, things ended up being much better than anyone could have expected. In his own words, coming to Miami was the best decision that the All-Star has ever made. He's repeatedly talked about how the team embraces his competitive nature and how everyone, from the coaches to the players, has the same winning mentality. Behind Butler's leadership, young players like Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, and Bam Adebayo showed major improvements and became a fundamental part of the team's success. Adebayo became an all-star alongside him, and the Heat turned into one of the best teams in the league while also spending the better part of the season among the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference. They made a seamlessly fit from day one, and Butler spent most of the time saying good things about his teammates. Most recently, he had an altercation with Chris Paul after the point guard had an exchange of words with Robinson, and the way he stood for one of his teammates goes on to show how close together this group is. But that doesn't just make for a good story. The Heat's collective effort has helped them keep their breakout season going even after the forced suspension. After showing a strong play during their seeding games in Orlando, Miami was matched against the Indiana Pacers in what was supposed to be a competitive first-round series. But the Heat surprised everyone by quickly taking care of business and eliminating the Pacers in 4. And not satisfied with that, they sent the whole league a message after limiting the reigning MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo in Game 1 of their second-round series and then winning Game 2 on a pair of free throws as time expired. This showing had Embiid wondering on Twitter what could have been if Butler had stayed with the Sixers, who clearly missed him while they were being swept by the Celtics in the first round. But he isn't worried about thinking about what could have been. After being asked about Embiid's comments, Jimmy left clear that his focus is on the Heat and what he can do to make the team better and help them win games, whether that's scoring 40 over the Bucks or taking a step back. But he knows they haven't accomplished anything yet. Despite their success during the regular season and, so far, during the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, he knows that the biggest challenges are still to come, and he'll make sure to keep his teammates as focused as he is to give them the best chance to keep on winning. And in case you were wondering what his teammates think about him, the answer is pretty simple. They love him. The young players have looked up to him throughout the whole season as he's kept on pushing them to become better every day. The same goes for the veterans. Former All-Star point guard Goran Dragic has developed a close bond with Butler and has talked about him as one of his favorite teammates, while also mentioning how much he loves how honest Jimmy is. Needless to say, their relationship is at its best on the court as the veteran duo has raised their games on an attempt to take their team to the promised land. Summing it up, Butler's work ethic is second to none. This is what has allowed him to go from a bench warmer to one of the best all-around stars and leaders in the league despite not being the most physically gifted player. And while his way of communicating things might have bothered some in the past, his time with the Heat has proved that he's by no means a locker room cancer, but instead one of the fiercest competitors and someone capable of making those around him better. Now, how do you feel about the Heat's chances at a title? Do you believe they have what it takes to make it out of the East? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.